Hey, this is Lucas Offenkamp. I am here with Paul Aldrich. And Paul is going to be with us at Men's Retreat the end of February, Friday and Saturday, February 26 and 27. We're at Lakewood Park Bible Camp this year, and we're going to have a wonderful weekend. And so I encourage you guys to register. If you haven't done so yet, you can go to ndmen.org/events for more information. But Paul's going to be at the event. He's our comedian for this year. And so, Paul, I'd like to start out by basically just saying, can you say something funny for us?
No, I've completely run out. In the COVID era, I just ran out of jokes. It's all gone.
Do you know anybody that I can replace you with?
Nobody that's been working.
Everybody's out of practice, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. I want to basically just introduce you to our men of our state.
Yeah.
And have a little fun here too today. So, how did you first choose comedy as a profession? How did that come to be?
Well, yeah, it sort of chooses you. I mean, I always had a sense of humor growing up. And then when I got into high school, I got involved with an organization called Young Life. And that's where, growing up in church, I then I saw a fun side to the Christian faith through Young Life. I ended up becoming a volunteer Young Life leader. And that's where I started using my musical skills and sense of humor and learning how to work with audiences and things. And so that's kind of where I developed the craft a little bit of comedy, but I was always joking around right from the start. I just pretty much had a comment for everything, and sometimes that wasn't helpful.
Yeah, right. What would you say to someone, like you said you were always kind of funny? What would you say to someone who has a dream of being a comedian but isn't really funny? My brothers
Change your dream.
because my brothers are like, they're in the building here, so they might come crashing this video. They dream of being comedians, but they're just not very funny.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I hate to be a dream crusher, but it's kind of a prerequisite. Maybe talk with your friends. If you don't get at least a 50-50 vote in your favor, let's find another way to go.
Yeah, I can hear them making comments in the back. Great. When did you first realize that you could make people laugh?
Oh, I don't know. I think it goes back to, just early school days. I just saw things different from other kids. And so I wasn't really the class clown. I was more subtle than that, more the class manipulator. Like, I'd wait for that perfect moment in the cafeteria when somebody'd get that milk, sipping on that milk, and then just deliver the punchline and out through the nose. And it's like, yes, this is, I like doing this.
Yeah, that is great. It's funny to think about, the different aspects that go into comedy in terms of just watching people, whether, I have someone at Men's Retreat every year, and to see, timing is obviously so key.
Right.
And facial expressions are a big part of it. Some of my favorites, it's the facial expressions that makes the whole thing.
Oh, sure.
What are some other keys that you would say are that make for good comedy in your experience?
Oh, wow. Everybody's different. So it's not, there's all kinds of styles. There's guys that are one-liners, and there's storyteller comics, and there's everything kind of, in between that. You just have to find who you are on stage, what does that mean? And then just settle into whatever that rhythm is. Again, there's not one style. If there was, then, the world would be a very boring vanilla place.
Yeah.
But just watching the different ways people approach things, so it's just finding your niche, who you are on stage, getting to know who that person is, and then consistently projecting from that point of view. You don't want to act like the goofball one minute and the intellectual guy the next, because you saw one guy like that, and you saw some guy like that, so you just stole both of their acts. You got to find your own rhythm there to try to communicate. Just like, and that just being as real as you are every day. It's just kind of it's more your enhanced personality a little bit, especially if you're leaning on the introvert side. You
Right.
sort of let that side of you out to play a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. You use the word stealing other people's act or shtick. You know, what do they say that um, mimicking someone or copying is the highest form of flattery. So, you know, you could just say, I'm not stealing your thing. I'm just honoring
Yeah.
you.
Yes, I'm flattering you right out of the business is what I'm doing.
Exactly. Exactly. So, have you ever in a show made someone, I don't know, blow snot out of their nose or wet their pants or anything like that?
I don't recall any, actually officially noted bodily function issues. But I've seen people. There was actually, this was at a men's retreat, a pastor men's retreat that I did. A small group of guys, as probably one of the most memorable moments. I can't say what the punchline was, but it was a somewhat politically incorrect thing to do, even in this at the stage of life. I don't know if the term politically correct even existed back then, but it was just the right things those guys needed to hear, and they were throwing themselves on the floor. Just, I'll never forget that. That was like, okay, it's never going to get any better than this. They physically couldn't stand up anymore.
Great.
So I think that's the most physically just let loose kind of situation I've seen. No other bodily function issues were happening then. I do not know, but a couple of guys did run to the restroom. So
Okay, well, we'll hope we don't have any of those in a couple of weeks here. But you know, it's interesting we did years ago. I was pastoring, and there had been a comedian at men's retreat, and he was so good. He was so good. So I contacted him when I was at our church, and I said, "I'd like to have you come and help us with a fall kickoff or something."
uh-huh.
And so he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." He was so gracious, and he comes, and I made the mistake. I promoted it, but we didn't get a whole lot of people out, which I think was probably the strategy of the way I promoted it. But I made the mistake of having it in our sanctuary, so it was a big room without a lot of
Right.
people in there,
Yeah.
and it was a bomb basically. Now he was the same person as he had been at men's retreat.
Yeah.
But I realized after the fact I should have looked at the size of the crowd and put us in a small room, because the humor really, the laughter really feeds off the crowd from one to another, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason comedy clubs don't seat 1,000.
Right.
You don't. You want the audience to just barely fit the size of the room. That's ideal in a comedy situation. And so when in doubt, I get in that situation all the time with churches. Hey, we're going to do it here. We're going to do it there. It's like, if you got a smaller room, let's do that. Plus, if you've never done it before, you think, oh, you saw me at the men's retreat, and so you thought it would just all you had to do was say the word comedy and everybody was going to come out, but
Right.
it's not necessarily that simple. So that it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah.
You can have a great time with 15 people if you're in a room that seats 15 people. But if
Mhm.
you take those 15 people in a room that seats 500, now you got a problem, because
Now,
they're not
now
going to feel like laughing.
here's the issue in the age of COVID is you can take a room that used to seat 500, and now you can only put 50 people in there.
Yeah, it
So
is a problem. No, well, I work with a group. I do a lot of fundraising for crisis pregnancy centers and things like that. And I was working with one recently, and they wanted to do a live kind of a pre-record a comedy show that they could then, because they couldn't bring me out to their facility to do the show live. And so we kicked around a few things, and I kind of did a demo version, like, okay, it can be like this. And I just taped a house concert with a few folks, and it went fine for those people that were in the room, and we captured it well. But then they wanted it to go out to, oh, and we want this to appeal to children and teens and seniors. And it's like, well, if I don't have those people in the room, I can't play to them.
right.
And so it wouldn't translate. There's all kinds of things of demographics and size and all those things that go into it. And so I'm looking forward to the men's retreat. This will be great. You're going to have a room that fits your guys, and there'll be this camaraderie, and retreat things are always great. Plus, a lot of people have been shut up, so we're going to really have a great time.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I don't know. For me, there's always this level of anxiety before the event comes, praying that we get the number of guys we need
Sure.
for the event. When I was pastoring, I would have this recurring nightmare that It's a Sunday morning at about 9 a.m. And I'm just going to run to the church real quick to get the last few
Yeah.
things done. I got my pajamas on, but I'm just going to run, and I come out of my office and it's later than I realize that the building is full and I'm in my pajamas. I got to run home and change it. So that was always my nightmare. So now that I'm doing this I'm the Bible camp director and then men's ministry. Now my nightmares are I come up to men's retreat and there's not enough guys there. Like, oh no, the dreams change to nightmares.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's always something.
Yeah, it's true. What's something that really makes you laugh?
Oh, wow.
You like making others laugh. What makes you laugh?
Uh, Great comedians make me laugh. Movies well made that are, comedy movies that are designed. And anytime just a well-placed one-liner in a group of friends or whatever, doesn't need to be from a stage or whatever, but when somebody's timing of the right word at the right time just tops things off. Doesn't have to be me, it can be whoever is in the circle of people. I don't know, a well-timed funny line that
Who's some of your favorite comedians then?
I like Brian Regan a lot. And then friends of mine, Tim Hawkins is a buddy of mine. I think Tim's just ridiculously, fantastically uber talented and a great person. Another comedian friend of mine, Robert G. Lee, is a great friend and just overall one of the most talented creative minds I've ever been around.
Yeah.
So those three guys kind of leap to mind. But I grew up on the Smothers Brothers and musical comedians, with that, doing that kind of folk parody type thing that they do. So I really appreciate all the old school comics as well.
Well, I guess to end with one last question here, and kind of you talked the musical parody. What is the history of that? One of your songs, very culturally sensitive, Frosty the Snow Person. Can you give us the backstory to that? Because that really speaks to the time and the age.
Yeah, that's just poking a little gentle fun at political correctness, and so. Frosty the Snow Person, it sort of wrote itself once I got going. So I'll do a lot of that. And when the guys come up to the retreat, there'll be some of that where we'll just, whether it's political correctness, the signs of the time, there's a lot to talk about in this era.
There's no shortage of content, is there?
Yeah, there's always something. So, you just try to, poke a hole in the whatever the balloons of the hot air that's floating around in any given season. But it's not going to be a political rant. It's not that we're just going to be guys celebrating life together. So I just encourage all the guys that are watching out there, come bring a friend. This is going to be a blast, and we're going to celebrate. It'll be good, clean fun, and I'm looking forward to some holy laughter when we come up there here pretty soon.
Wonderful. What is I guess one other quick deal here. Kathy, tell us about Kathy.
Well, it's the Dyslexic Love Song, YHTAK. Yes. And so that's probably my most requested song. Guys can watch it on YouTube, and I'll do it that weekend if people want. It's just a simple idea of a song. What if we did a whole song backwards? And from that idea, I wrote a short version that was just a one night thing. And then I talked with a friend of mine. It's like, all you gotta do is make it bigger. Oh, that's right. She dies. And so it goes just in the whole back history from death until this couple first meets. And so it's a whole song done backwards. And I don't know, like I said, it's probably the most requested thing that I do.
It's kind of like if you play a country song backwards, what happens? Well, you get your dog back, you get your woman back.
Yes, it's a similar kind of vibe there for sure. So, yep.
Well, thanks for your time, Paul.
My pleasure. Thanks for letting me be. I'm really looking forward to being with the guys. And again, guys, come, bring a friend. Don't miss this. I don't know, because it might be below 60 degrees that weekend in North Dakota. It might be freezing.
Well, it is really cold right now, and
that's what I heard.
We're hoping for a warm up. But I really appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to meeting you in person or seeing you in person with us in just over 2 weeks. And it's Lakewood Park Bible Camp, February 26th and 27th. You can find all the information at ndmen.org/events. And thank you for your time, Paul. It was great to visit with you. And again, we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
My pleasure. Thank you.